Germany, where I saw for myself Berlin's infamous wall.
I have to say, it doesn't seem that big. It wouldn't stop anybody.
I met some Nazis, who weren't really Nazis.
Every German has a little Adolf inside.
A little tiny one, which must be suppressed.
And I met an Englishman, who likes to hang out with his friends.
After a while, you get into the bowling. Doesn't matter if everybody's walking around with their bollocks hanging out.
Then in Ireland, I was enlightened by a Buddhist monk.
A man without a penis becomes a penis without a man.
And further enlightened by Cork's gay scene.
Did you enjoy yourself?
I did immensely. I've been coming to Ireland since I was a young boy. In fact, my mother is Irish. But over the past week or so, I've seen a side to this country and its people I never knew existed. And I sense today will be no different. I'm now in the county of Wicklow, just south of Dublin, and we're trying to track down a reclusive man called Willie, known locally as Dr. Doolittle.
I understand that he's not particularly welcoming towards human visitors, so at the moment I'm not quite sure what I'm getting into. Oh, here we are.
Willie clearly likes to keep himself to himself.
Hello! Hello! Hello? Any of you know got a key to this? Hello?
Hello.
Hello there, hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. Are you Willie?
No, I'm not Willie. My name is Grayson.
Grayson? Hi.
Yes. Willie is expecting you, though.
Oh, is he? Okay,
Yeah, in
good.
fact, he was expecting you about 20 minutes ago. So
Oh, I'm sorry, are we late? Yes, yeah, sorry about that.
keep your eye open for the dogs.
Okay.
Come on in.
Thank you very much, thank you.
No problem. Willie is up that way. You walk down the path, you go up the bridge, take a right. Willie will find you.
Okay,
And I wish you the best of luck.
will I need luck?
I just think it's better that you have it.
Okay, alright.
That sounds a little ominous. What Grayson omitted to mention was that the path is actually a mile-long bog. But eventually, I come face to face with Dr. Doolittle, I presume.
Hello, are you Willie?
Yes.
Hello, I'm Paul, I'm sorry I'm late.
Made it at last through the bogs.
Can I help you there?
Just grab a hold of that one.
Okay.
Keep it tight in. Watch it all come charging off and knock you down.
Okay,
Hey!
Well, the dogs are a little lively. But Willie seems a gentle soul.
Oi.
I'm very pleased to meet you.
I'm still a little confused, though, as to what this place is.
Where am I?
In Ireland's first and only monkey sanctuary.
Ireland's first and only monkey sanctuary.
Yeah.
So, that's a rather unusual concept, isn't it, for Ireland, a monkey sanctuary?
It is true. Well, I used to be a plumber.
Really? You don't come across many animals as a plumber.
I'm a broken down plumber. So this is my passion now. And I had to get out of the city. I had too many animals. The neighbours weren't too happy with the down chorus.
Right.
So I had to leave suburbia and come down here for a peace and quiet.
With only what he could beg or borrow, Willie turned this bogland into an Amazonian rainforest. Well, at least the rain came free. And for the past 10 years, he's been providing sanctuary to monkeys rescued from circuses and laboratories.
We're going to give this little Ben, and she's very sweet.
Okay.
Currently, there are 21 monkeys in residence here, and hard-boiled eggs are their absolute favourite.
Donald, give us Donald, yeah.
Go on in.
And you can get one for Ben.
Okay.
Hey!
Ben. Oh.
In order to stop the different groups fighting, Willie's created 5 islands, each with their own community.
Is that music I can hear?
Yeah, it's coming from the monkey house. Each house has a radio.
Oh, thank goodness. I thought you had their own instruments for a minute.
So winter, it's on full time.
Oh, you can hear classical at the moment. Is that what they like?
Absolutely, yeah. But not jazz. Friday night jazz is out.
What happens to them if they listen to
Just
jazz?
start wanting to rave. You have to keep them calm.
Yes, yes. Is this place open to the public? Is it a zoo that you have here? Or?
No, we're not a zoo. We're a sanctuary. And because of their history, we try not to, put them on show.
But having spent most, if not all of their lives in a laboratory, these monkeys are finding it difficult to adapt to their freedom.
They were living in a 10-storey tower block on the campus with no windows. So they never were outside, they never saw the rain, the sky or water or anything. So I had to feed them water for a year, even though there's water everywhere.
Yes. And they obviously have no natural enemies here.
No, well, you could say the mink, maybe the odd otter that comes up.
Oh, really?
Maybe the odd, Methodist, but we won't mention that.
I thought I saw a Methodist going through the bushes earlier. I wasn't sure. I got a glimpse of him.
This is the Cornwall 4. He done 15 years in the lab and was caught in the wild. But this is Frida's little girl, this one. She's sweet. You give it to Frida.
Frida? There we go. I'm probably imagining it, but there seems to be sort of look in their eyes where they're almost saying,
oh yeah, it's their
thank you very
favourite.
much.
It's their favourite, yeah.
Yeah, okay, you go. Harry?
I'm no David Attenborough, but at least I know now how he must feel.
When I woke up this morning, I had no idea I'd be feeding monkeys hard-boiled eggs. If you said an ocelot and a peach, then I might have believed you, but monkeys hard-boiled eggs, and suddenly there I am. I don't think I ever actually went to Ireland when I was a kid. My parents told me we had. It may have been a ruse to save money. They may have sort of drugged me and left me in the back garden for 10 minutes. Wasn't that nice?
I'm in the south of Ireland, and I'm keen to track down an elusive local sport that many have never seen, that has been practiced for over 300 years.
We're in search of an activity called road bowling, but we haven't been told which road it is, but we know it's somewhere in this area, so it may look like we're idly driving around in circles trying to find this road bowling, but actually we're following some deeply thought out strategy which nobody has yet explained to me.
We've been told that this will be the biggest match of the season. What they're not too keen to tell us is where it's being played.
It's the third time we've passed that house. When they play the FA Cup final, they tell you where it is. They say it's Wembley Stadium, where it always is. Should we ask somebody, do you think?
We're looking for Ross Carberry. Are you doing the scenic route, or do you want to get onto the main road to get to Ross Carberry?
We'd like to get there as quickly as possible.
Okay, turn to your left. And just after turning to your left, turn to your right.
Okay.
Turn to your left at the signpost, and you're on the main road in for Ross Carberry. Okay?
Okay. And do you know, is there road bowling going on there tonight?
There could be.
See what I mean? I'm beginning to regret I ever suggested it. But finally, as we enter Ross Carberry, there's a sign.
Oh, there's a sign there. Caution, road bowling in progress. So this is obviously it. Oh, there's quite a few people here. Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
I noticed nobody else seems to have had any trouble finding the place.
So it's hard to know where the actual sort of... This is the start of it.
I get the feeling me and the film crew may not be all that welcome.
So what's happening here at the moment?
Each side bets the same amount.
Yeah.
It's paid into the referee.
Yeah.
At the end, the winning side takes back both sums of money. Every guy that's bet gets paid double.
And the referee holds the money.
5%. Referee holds the money.
So he's the guy to knock out if you want.
It's well known you Irish like to gamble, but with a country in the midst of an economic meltdown, I'm amazed to see thousands of euros changing hands on this rural back road.
I mean, I've been to Ireland a few times in my life, but I very rarely see days like this.
According to my new friend Brian, today's contenders are Martin Coppinger and reigning champ Bill Daly. The winner will walk away with €5,000.
So like the two players that are playing, it's kind of a contrast of interest really. One guy, he's 27 years of age, he's been in a bit of trouble around the place. He's a big strong man, you know, he tends to get into trouble with drink and stuff like that, and the other guy is actually a sergeant in the police force. So they've never crossed paths, no, they're very good friends, but in other jurisdictions I suppose, you know,
in other circumstances they might not be.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's young Martin against the old Bill. It doesn't strike me as the most sophisticated of sports, but in many ways that seems to be the joy of it.
It's fascinating. It's basically, the game's really simple. There's two guys, we've got an iron ball, and it's how many throws it takes you to get from point A to point B. There's the ball. Hang on, here it is. It's right behind us. Watch out, look at this. Wow. That was a bit close for us, wasn't it?
The key thing as a spectator is just to keep out the way.
That's coming this way, it's coming straight for you. Whoa.
But it's not as easy as it looks.
I had enormous temptation to give that a kick there. So, I mean, there would be a major scandal, wouldn't it? Somebody said, what would happen? They have to take the shot again? Or?
It has happened on a very odd occasion, but it's the referee's decision.
Just to make things even more interesting, the road remains open, forcing the local traffic to run the gauntlet of crowds and cannonballs.
Here it goes. Oh, blimey, where is it? I can't see it. Bloody hell. It's quite scary when you're standing there watching it. You see hear a shout, and you see the crowds part, and then you see that they're parting in your general direction, and then you say, come on, old Marty, boy!
As the action hots up, the gambling really gets into its stride.
There seems to be lots of people sort of shouting out various bets at the moment.
Yeah, various bets. They're so close on this shot. Guys are trying to bet that one guy will throw it further than the other. Just in this shot, one shot, one bet. And we bet after they throw this in.
Right, I see, okay. That's your fault anyway. Oh, all the way up there now.
Bill may have lost that shot, but he's still the favourite to win the match. Brian's money, though, seems to be on Martin.
All is forgiven, kid. So that was, they're happy with that. And is it your favourite?
Yeah.
I noticed a bit of it. I thought I noticed it then. It seems extraordinary that they've had about half a dozen shots each, maybe more, and they're absolutely equal still.
Yeah, they're dead level. There's no separating them. It's still toss a coin, pick the winner.
Yeah. So I didn't do very well. Actually, I'm back there, saw it.
So, a short ball from Bill has given young Martin the chance he's been waiting for. And as we come down to the final corner, victory is within Martin's grasp.
Merton is about 15 yards behind Bill, but Merton has one less shot thrown. So if he gets this one up, Bill can pass him out possibly.
Right.
An atmosphere descends on the crowd. All eyes fall on Martin.
God, he's having a hell of a run-up.
Yeah.
There's a lot more than just pride resting on this one crucial throw.
What up, boy? That'll do for today.
Well, Martin's made Brian a very happy and wealthy man, along with the rest of his supporters. So, while Martin takes the plaudits,
Well done.
I was keen to commiserate with poor old Bill, but he seems to have beaten a hasty retreat. And judging by the look on the faces of his supporters, it's probably just as well. I've travelled now to the west of the country, and this is one of Ireland's most dramatic coastlines, an area famed for its stark and rugged beauty, known as the Burren. This eerie lunar landscape was once the ocean floor, and these bizarre rock formations are actually 300 million years worth of compacted fish bones. Strangely enough, this bleak terrain proved the unlikely location for a very popular comedy series.
Looks like a very familiar building coming up on the right. Yeah, I definitely recognise that.
Welcome to Father Ted's house. A big comedy hit of the 90s, Father Ted took a scalpel and bludgeon to Ireland's Catholic Church.
Hi! Hi! I was just admiring your house.
Oh, yes?
It's a very familiar sight. Hello, I'm Paul Merton.
Paul, how you doing, Paul?
Hello, how are you?
Good, good.
This house is home to sheep farmer Patrick McCormack.
This is a beautiful spot you've got here.
Yes, it is, especially this time of the year.
Yeah?
Patrick has lived and worked here his whole life and kindly invited me in for tea to meet the family.
Okay, folks, this is
Paul. Sorry, I didn't mean to intrude upon you.
You're all right. That's Marlene, my daughter.
Hello, how are you? Pleased to meet you. Hi.
My wife, Sharon.
Oh, hello. How are you? You right? It's a beautiful
Brother of
fire.
mine, Thomas.
Hello, Thomas. Pleased to see you. You right? Wonderful.
Yeah. Sit down, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I do wonder what this warm and down-to-earth family must think about living in such a famous house.
The thing that drew me here, first of all, was looking at the outside of your house, which, of course, is the house of Father Ted. How did that come about?
Just one of these location people that were looking for a location to do some series, a sitcom that we never heard of Father Ted like. And he just took a picture, asked to know, could he take a picture of the house? And he was back in 3 days, and he said that your house has been chosen. I suppose that time, like, it really shook the country, like, you know, they're very Catholic, closed. I mean, even some of the people, like, that were involved in it, including, God rest my own father, he used to get so much money, like, you know, just for being extras.
Oh, yes,
you know?
right, yes, yeah. Like,
When, of course, when they seen what they were involved in, like, they were totally disgusted.
Right, yes,
like,
yes.
because it was making fun of the Catholic Church. And I think there was a lot in the church that I grew up in that needed to be left it. It was healthy, like, you know.
Yes. So you think in the end, in balance, it was a good thing?
I think so. I mean, you know, we all need humour. Like, I think everyone that
Yes, absolutely.
makes us laugh should be paid a grant from the state. Like,
Did we get that? Could you repeat that again? Well, it is. I mean, this is what brings people together.
I
isn't
think
it?
so. Yeah.
But it seems this house also brings people together. Hando is a young man from South America, but is now part of Patrick's extended family.
Hello, I'm fine. Hello, how are you? You're Brazilian?
Yeah.
Can I ask you, how does a boy from Brazil end up living in Father Ted's house?
I didn't really plan to come to Ireland in 2005, but I had a friend who was living here before. Well, his parents came first, I'd say 8 years ago, because of a meat factory that was in Gort.
A meat factory?
A meat factory, yeah.
So does it feel lonely just to be one of a couple of Brazilians here in Ireland?
Oh no, not at all. Where I was living before, there's many Brazilians there. You would see more Brazilians on the streets more than Irish.
Really?
Actually, it's kind of weird.
Well, they call it Little Brazil,
Little Brazil?
Yeah.
just because there are so many Brazilians there.
And they have added a lot to it, like their culture, their dress code, the colour they bring, like their song, their music. Man, here they'll sing a song for you, all right.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Senhor meu Deus, quando eu maravilhado fico a pensar no teu eterno amor. Então minha alma canta a ti, Senhor. Grandioso és tu, grandioso és tu.
Beautiful. That was excellent. That was gorgeous.
Wonderful.
So if I go into Gort, I'll see something a bit like Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, you will, yeah. Oh, I don't know about Rio now, but you will.
So of course I can't resist heading to Gort to investigate for myself if it really is as Brazilian as everyone claims. Now, I've never been to Rio de Janeiro, but I doubt it looks much like this.
So far it seems very Irish and very un-Brazilian, but I dare say there are clues if I have a little wander around.
To be honest, this looks like a very typical Irish town. However, I'm keeping an open mind.
I'm not sure, but I think they might be Brazilians up there. They don't look particularly Irish.
And the more I look around, the more I realise I've yet to see an Irish face.
I mean, even for elaborate hoaxes, to build a store and fill it full of Brazilian food would be going a bit too far, I think. How long have you been here in Gort? You don't speak English? No. Okay. What sort of questions can I ask a person who doesn't speak English? I don't speak any Portuguese, sadly. Portuguese? Yeah, Portuguese.
As I wander the streets, I feel I've passed into a parallel universe.
Usually when you come to a place like this, you joke and say, take me to the Latin Quarter. This actually does have a Latin Quarter. Well, the whole thing is a Latin thing, so... Hi, hello. Can I just ask you something?
Of course you can, yes.
Are you speak English?
A little bit, yes.
I presume,
my best.
I presume you're Brazilian?
I am.
And you're here in Ireland, middle of Ireland.
Thanks for that.
How long have you been here?
7 years, yeah.
And what do you think of Ireland?
It's a little bit cold, but
Yes.
it's fine, yeah. Enjoy a lot. It's feeling proud to be here. I love the Irish people. So
Listening to you speak, I can sometimes hear the Irish pronunciation of words coming through what you're saying. Do you notice that yourself? Does anyone ever say you begin to sound a bit Irish?
I would like to have the Irish accent, actually. I would like to, but I don't know if I have it.
You did it! I don't know if I have it.
And what exotic force compelled the Brazilians to this place? Duffy's Meat Factory. 10 years ago, it was a thriving business in desperate need of skilled butchers. Meanwhile, in a small town in the centre of Brazil, hundreds of meat factory workers were looking for the chance to earn more money. Soon, Brazilians made up half of Gort's population. Sadly, the factory is now closed, leaving many out of work and forced to diversify.
Maybe a Brazilian chef?
My new friend Nilton runs a local internet cafe, and he reckons Fabio, who works in the kitchens of the local hotel, has bagged the most secure job in town.
Do you serve a lot of potato?
Oh my gosh, I don't know how many bags a day.
Really?
Potato in the morning, potato in the evening, potato in the lunch.
Do you ever get tired of looking at potatoes? Do you ever think, oh, another potato?
No, this one when I sleep. I said,
Yes.
potato, where's potato?
With so many Brazilians now taking jobs in Gort, I head to one of the few Irish-run shops to find out if there's any local resentment.
Well, I think you may have to compare it to my own race, the Irish people. In the time of famine, in the 1840s, 1860s, we immigrated to the United States. We now have the same story, different place, different time.
Yeah.
People coming to work to support their families back at home. People to coming to do just one thing only, to work hard. Believe me, they are very good at doing that.
And I noticed you've got a bar at the back of your shop here.
To some that might find a bit different, but it was an old Irish tradition that shop till you drop. Your wife can do the shopping, and her husband can have a hot paddies or a Guinness.
Yes. It's a very good idea.
Yeah, why not?
In fact, it was such a good idea, I couldn't get it out of my head.
You know, it's come to that time in the evening, really, when I fancy an Irish pint in a good old Irish pub.
After everything I've seen today, I don't know why I'm surprised to find I've stumbled slap bang into Carnival.
How are you? Oh my God! Are we still in Ireland? Are we still in Ireland? Yes. So what's the occasion of the party?
That's a Brazilian party, that's usual.
Well, I'll drink to that. No wonder they get on so well with the Irish. I really thought I knew this country, but yet again, I'm delighted to say I've been totally wrong-footed. And I, for one, hope that this little corner of Ireland remains forever Rio. Over the past 15 years, Ireland has enjoyed an unprecedented boom. But now, their tiger economy is in freefall, and the outlook is bleak. It's not bad news for everyone, however. Right in the heart of the country lies one of Ireland's most versatile natural resources, peat. For centuries, peat has fueled the fires and even cured the odd whiskey. And now one man has found yet another use for it, one that could make him his fortune. To find out exactly what Pat Burke is up to, I've come to meet him at his offices in Dublin.
Hello there, you Pat?
Paul.
I'm Paul, hello, how are you?
Not bad yourself.
Good, pretty good, pretty good. I understand you've had a rather radical business idea.
Yes, selling dirt.
Selling dirt?
I've samples here, I'll show you. Not as simple as it sounds. It's a little bit of home. We're exporting it out of Ireland at the moment.
Well, it's an old phrase, isn't there? Where there's muck, there's brass.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Finding office space has proved no problem.
You can see most of the desks are empty. It's just a sign of the economic climate.
Well,
And there's plenty of room for expansion here. But so far, Pat's keeping it small.
Paul, this is my colleague, Tim. Tim,
hello. I'm Paul. Very pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You're right.
Welcome to the old sod.
The old sod. Oh, I see, yes. Official Irish dirt.
Zero bags here.
The old sod export company. Wow.
I can't quite believe this is as simple as it sounds, but Pat's done his market research.
When I was inside in the New York Irish Centre, I got chatting with this elderly gentleman. He's late 70s, early 80s, originally from the Dingle Peninsula. But he just started trinkling the dirt through his hands, and he started crying. Now, I was wondering what was wrong with him or what the story was, you know. But he just started telling me how he left his home farm when he was 14 or 15. He never got home. He'd worked in the building sites all his life, and he hadn't enough money to go back home again. And to him, that little bit of dirt that was there in front of him was his home farm.
In case you're wondering, a bag of nostalgia will set you back about $10 US. But before you all rush out to dig up your back garden, there is a degree of science to Pat's secret formula.
To be honest with you, what we're looking for is obviously steel. Its depth obviously has to be able to grow stuff as well, which is a major element of it. Now, you've the feel, you've actually the smell of it is a big thing as well, and it's actually very clean. If you run it through your fingers, it'll wipe off easily.
Yeah, I can see that.
So every batch is nearly handmade, for want of a better way of putting it.
Yes.
Bespoke. Yes.
Bespoke dirt.
Okay. But we test every sample that comes in, and say we do it maybe in 2-ton batches.
So you say 2-ton batches there. How much dirt are you selling a year?
Sky's the limit. We've started off.
The ground's the limit, not the sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. There's 36 million Irish American out there. If we got 5% of that market, that's what we're looking for. This isn't a clever way to try and colonise America, is it? Eventually claim that it's all Irish soil. Yeah.
Ireland's going very bad, so we'll move over Ireland.
The world, I think, is split between people who get it and people who don't.
Yes.
And I've worked in America for quite some time, and I understand the currency of being Irish in America and what that means. Americans want to be a part of some ethnic group. The Irish are actually the second biggest ethnic group in America behind the Germans. But, with all due respect, the Germans, nobody wants to be German, but everybody wants to be Irish. It seems to be cool, it seems to be fun. It's almost mythical. I mean,
so what it seems at first like a sort of a bit of a crazy idea is actually a very, very big successful business, or is going to be.
It has the potential to be. I mean, we've only been selling in earnest for about 5 months now, and we're on target. We are projecting to $1 million this year, and to double that next year. And the message that we're getting from our customers, the feedback that we're getting is we're doing a very nice thing. It's nice to be nice sometimes, and have a bit of fun at the same time, particularly in the current environment.
While there's clearly no escaping the fact that times are tough, I'm relieved to find no evidence of it on the busy streets of Dublin. In fact, until recently, this city was the fastest growing capital in the whole of Europe, and seeing it today, I just feel it's come too far to ever turn back the clock. Which is not what one particular Dublin resident wants to hear. In this unassuming Victorian terrace lives a man who refuses to acknowledge the modern world. I'm told he actively discourages visitors. But I've been assured a bunch of flowers should help smooth the way. I feel like I'm on a blind date.
Oh, David.
Oh, come on.
Hello, I'm Paul. Hello. I have some flowers for you.
Thanks. Come in.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
David McDermott is an artist who moved here from Manhattan 15 years ago. And to enter his house is to go back to the 1930s.
Oh, what a lovely room.
You're very welcome indeed.
Thank you.
As you may have guessed, David is not a conventional artist.
You're very elegantly dressed here, but this is not what we would call a contemporary look, is it?
It's a special, formal suit for the morning when you wear grey. You're wearing grey too.
I have a little bit of grey.
Because I suppose it's the morning.
Yes, yes. What is the attraction about wearing sort of something that's a very sort of obvious reference to the past?
Well, when I grew up in suburbs and I saw the old photographs of my family, and also I would watch the television and see the old films, and I thought I was being cheated out of a great life. And I decided I was going to create a life that was more like unto the films.
Oh, so what is it about the era that fascinates you?
Well, I wanted to say that's why I really moved to Dublin, because even though the people might appear to be contemporary, they're really old-fashioned people.
Not as old-fashioned as David, however.
And this is my heating and cooking stove, but it's disconnected right now because of the summer.
Fortunately, he has allowed himself one little luxury.
I have drains now, but for a long time I just had buckets.
Yes.
Because and I would have to dump it outside instead of having drains, because this was a contemporary kitchen, and I completely removed it to put in the old-fashioned kitchen, and it's not easy.
No, not at all, I would have thought.
In fact, it all seems like a lot of hard work, but to David it's clearly a labour of love.
I like to say that living in Dublin is like dying and going to heaven, because you wouldn't want heaven to be that different. Just a little nicer.
Would you consider yourself a romantic?
Yes, the fortune teller told me that I live for love. And it's really true. Actually, all this is a spider web to attract love flies.
And do you get many love flies?
Well, I did. I used to.
There's obviously a rich vein of humour in what you're doing as well, isn't there?
Well, it's important to be funny. And that's why taxidermy is the best antique to collect, because young people like it the most. When young people come in here, they're not interested in anything but taxidermy.
Have you got any examples of taxidermy?
Well, there are a few birds in here, but I have a secret taxidermy room. It was the former bathtub room, and I took the bathtub away and made it for taxidermy. Would you like to see it?
I'd love to see it.
All right, very good. Very good.
While many of us strive for home improvement, David takes perverse pleasure in just the opposite.
Ah, behind the blue velvet curtain.
Yes, because I hide the stairs. Because they give too much information away.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. And they're ugly. Stairs are ugly.
Wow, this is quite a collection of animals you have here.
Yes, I go for roadkill. Here's an otter. He's very nice.
He's lovely. Do you stuff these yourself?
No. I
It's a
work
skill,
with a
isn't it?
taxidermist who, it's a gruesome business and very smelly.
I should imagine so.
But rather than just the animals continuing to be squashed over on the motorway when I'm traveling about with my friends sometimes, we'll stop, and if it's still in good condition, I'll take it away. My dog ran out last night, not last night, but last week, and he killed a baby fox, and he brought it back for me. They're hard to get.
Yes, I'm sure. I mean, would it be true to say that your art really is this house? It's how you live? Would you say that was your art?
What I like to say is that my paintings and my photographs are the gift shop, and but my life and my houses are my castle. And you can't have a castle without a gift shop. But you can't have a gift shop without a castle.
No, that's very true.
Now this is really my apartment. The rooms downstairs are just for entertaining people.
I see.
I live out of this room. So thus all of that pile of, there's all of my sewing. I sew every morning.
You sew every morning, do you?
For hours. And what I'm doing right now is I'm opening up trousers because, you see, these trousers were wide in the 20s, but then they narrowed them up when the 30s and 40s came, and so I'm opening them all up. Now, this project over here, this is a birch bark crown. And it fits me exactly. Because I have a square head.
Yes.
The back of my head is square.
Standing here in David's house, I find myself totally absorbed into his world. But surely he must know what lies outside these four walls.
David, the Dublin that drew you here, the Dublin that inspired you, is that still here? Has that been lost in the last sort of few years of economic boom?
Well, it might appear that way to you because you're looking at everything. But when you live in a city, you know you have blinders on. And so there are streets that you walk on and those that you don't. And you can ignore buildings and places. So I live in a fantasy of what Dublin is.
Sadly, time doesn't stop for everyone. And reluctantly, I must now leave David in his fantasy world.
David, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and showing me around your marvellous house. I really enjoyed it today.
That was good. I liked you coming here too. And
thank you.
I ordered you a taxi cab.
Oh no, don't worry. I can easily
No, I
get one.
already ordered it.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Enjoy the rest of your trip around the world.
I'm sure I will. Thank you very much, David. Lovely to meet you.
Well, that has to be one of the most unusual mornings I've ever spent. And it seems it's not quite over yet.
Hi, please go inside. Oh, thanks very much. Thank you.
I don't know why I'm surprised. He was never going to call me a minicab. So, while I trot off in search of the 21st century, David heads off into the heart of his favourite city. But rather terrifyingly, I think he may still be wearing those blinders.
He's an intense character, there's no two ways about that, and little of him may well go a long way, not as far as back as 1923 perhaps, but we might have gone over some roadkill. I'll be out here in a minute with a shovel. That'll look nice stuffed above the mantelpiece.
It's hard not to be charmed by the Emerald Isle. But it's easy to forget that not only does Ireland's economic future remain uncertain, its past has rarely been easy either. Invasion, civil war, plague and famine, largely thanks to a bloody and tortured relationship with the British. I've come south. Close to Waterford, Ireland's oldest city, lies Duncannon Fort. This place has seen it all. Built to ward off the Spanish Armada, attacked by Oliver Cromwell, and more recently burnt down by the old IRA, and today it seems nothing much has changed. In fact, it looks like 2,000 years of Irish history are being celebrated in one afternoon.
Hello, gentlemen. Warm day for this sort of thing, isn't it?
Very warm.
I'm not a big fan of uniforms or machine guns for that matter, so I find it hard to appreciate quite what makes this such a fun day out for all the family.
The fascinating thing here about this is that it's actually sort of something that really happened, you know, the sort of Battle of the Somme, actually a very, very terrible, awful battle of the First War. And now it's sort of part of entertainment, it's odd. But it's also an educational factor going on as well, isn't it?
although I'm not quite sure what I'm learning, except to keep an eye on that guy behind me.
Evening.
In fact, there's quite a few characters I'm keeping an eye on.
What era are you representing at the moment?
We're going back to 1981,
1981.
Princess Gate, London.
Oh, right, Princess, this is when the Iranian embassy.
That's correct.
Right. So how does it feel when you're wearing that, the sort of sense of anonymity that you have, I suppose?
Very, very important. We're kept out of the limelight. We go in, we do our job, we're gone.
It strikes me as a strange way to spend a Sunday afternoon. But then again, there's a lot of strange things going on around here. Not least, the Nazi encampment has appeared up on the green. Everyone else seems to take this in their stride, but I'm finding it hard to ignore.
This man looks important. Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm very well. I'm Paul.
I'm Joe, how are you?
Joe, a very strong German name there, Joe.
Yeah, it is. About as Irish as they come.
Are you the man in charge around here?
Yeah, I've headed this group now here today, you know.
I mean, this is a bit controversial, this, isn't it? Because you've got the Nazi symbol up there, the swastika, which, as you know, in Germany you're not allowed even to this day to publicly display it, but you have it on display here.
Yeah, but I suppose doing a historical representation like this, it would be incomplete if we didn't have all the detail as best we can. You know, that's what we're trying to do.
Do you get a lot of stick because you're dressed as a Nazi officer?
It's not too bad in Ireland, to be honest. We were abroad in Normandy last year and we did get a lot of reaction with the vehicles, and
yes,
there was a bit of adverse reaction, obviously, you can imagine. Here in Ireland, no. I would probably get more adverse reaction if I had been wearing a British uniform. I can actually introduce you to a man who he'll tell you about adverse reaction, because he is doing British London Irish Rifles.
Oh, right.
Meeting him. He's over here.
Is he? Lead me over. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Talk with him, you know.
I'm a little uncertain as to exactly where the battle lines are being drawn here in Ireland.
Hello, you Evan. Hello, I'm Paul. Hello, how are you?
How are you keeping?
I'm keeping very well. Joe was just telling me here that because you're dressed as a British soldier, you get quite a strong reaction from the local population here.
Well, I suppose out of all the reenactment groups, I suppose the hardest to do. But that should be perfectly
So if I understand this correctly, then you get much more stick as a British soldier than you do as a Nazi officer.
I suppose, you know, historically, yes, there has been differences between Ireland and England always, and
absolutely.
Anyone who was, we'll say, a foe of England would have been seen as a friend of Ireland.
Were you neutral in the war?
We stood alone against Europe. You know,
yes,
we maintained the neutrality.
Yes,
through you know, a very turbulent time, and the war was at war.
So that history means that perhaps that you are able to do this without too many people getting overexcited about it here.
Yes, we can do it, and we can do it in a relaxed environment, and we can do what we do with 99% a very good reaction from the public.
Yes, well, considering we've got so many potential enemies all gathered together in uniforms here, it's a surprisingly pleasant day. It doesn't seem.
We all love our.
There we are. Now, we've got a perfect. You know, that's what human beings should be all about.
If we were on during the Second
If you two can
there'd be no war.
If you two can bury your differences, then it's hope for the world, is what I say.
That's what we're trying to prove.
I'm still surprised to learn that a British uniform is more provocative than this one. But there's no time to take it all in now, as apparently Joe and Emmett have a score to settle down on the beach.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. By the way, okay.
And it says something about the legacy of the British here that I feel safer riding through the village in a Nazi truck.
Vote Nazi!
Now, don't ask me why, but this unnervingly realistic bloodbath has been the biggest crowd pleaser of the day. They may as well be watching a game of football, and I've a pretty good idea which team the crowd is supporting. And they clearly enjoy shooting each other. Thankfully, before any more bodies pile up, Joe and Emmett call an end to World War II. And to the disappointment of the locals, history has not been rewritten, and Britain is victorious again.
Hello, Emmett, hello.
Hello.
How did that go for you?
Oh, very good. This we won this time.
Yes.
Gentlemen,
I think they're all gone.
the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom is here to inspect you all after a great victory.
Oh my God. He must be 130.
Sir, may I present the United Forces that took on the Germans today and destroyed them?
Yeah.
If you would, sir.
I think the RAF are getting involved.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much. You fought a great battle today. I'm proud of you all, and victory will be yours.
3 cheers for the Prime Minister! Hip, hip! Hip, hip!
Just when I thought I'd reached my daily quota of novelty, things have taken an even more surreal turn.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic good. The weather was great, and the kids were really getting into it. And everybody was talking about the authenticity, which I thought was maintained right up until Churchill started speaking. I think you are doing a good job, lads, and victory is ours. It's like hearing the Queen say, what the hell are you talking about? I think of all the strange things I've seen in my life, Churchill with a broad Irish accent was right up there. It's great. In my next programme, I'm off to Italy, the birthplace of fashion and art. What exactly does this painting represent?
Where I experience at first hand hot-blooded Latin machismo.
Can we start off with socks or something?
Then yet more hot-blooded Latin machismo.
He'd like to kiss you.
Okay, yeah.
And finally I discover the origins of the beautiful game. And yet more hot-blooded Latin machismo.
And so it's Morty Kit with me.
Bizarre. Now they're exciting, fun and challenging, and that's just the presenters. John, Jason, Susie and Otis are back, and they've got all the brightest, best and most wanted high-tech as the Gadget Show returns next Monday at 8. Up next, horror with Nicolas Cage as a police officer uncovering a dark secret. The Wicker Man, next.